There it is, the Yikong we've been waiting for. Hey everybody, it's a very excited Brian from 517 RC Trail Crawling. Today we have a new product, which is why I'm so excited. It is the Yikong 4083 1/8 scale Ford 2021 Bronco. This is the V2 or V3 edition. The manual calls it a V2, the serial number or model number and the website refer to it as the V3. So let's take a look at it. All right, the new V3 comes in 3 different colors. We have I think it's like a black gray, looks like a really dark grayish black metallic. We've got this metallic green right here, and I think you can get a baby blue. Yeah, so pretty much identical to the look of the previous version, except now we have new colors and we do have new features, which I will go into in a bit. But first, let's take a look to appreciate this thing. So we have, like I said before, 1/8 scale. We have 2.2-inch wheels, and these are 5.3 in diameter. These look like imitation Hyrax, I think. Seem pretty good. They seem fairly sticky. Pretty supple, just standard single-stage foam in there. We have the same mirrors we had before, which they fold, which is nice, so you don't break them when you're on the trail. I always trail with mine in. You can even move your wipers if you want. Got a little detail there. Notice we have the interior. Very nice. It's a half-height Lexan interior, but I think it's great. Saves some weight. We've got a roof rack. We have the light bar installed. And in the front, we've got a very low profile bumper. I would consider that a low profile bumper. We've got our D-rings. Very nice. These are not actually lights, that's just a sticker, but you can get a kit that turns those into actually LEDs. I have it on my other rig and we'll compare those in a minute. You got the nice Ford style halo with the signature Bronco lenses. The back, we don't have the spare tire again, but it is included this time. The previous version, you did not get a spare tire, so it's nice to have it included but not installed, just in case you don't want that. So overall, I think it is a fantastic looking rig. So let's take a look underneath. Our body is held down with magnets. So you've got 2 magnets and this guy, which threads up through here and will secure the body down. The magnets are just to align it, I suppose. So under the hood, you can see something majorly different from the previous version. This is a chassis mounted servo. Previous version was axle mounted, so that's nice. It's way more scale. The ESC is the same Hobbywing 880, I believe. It's been in all the 8th scale brushed rigs I've owned. We have the same 775 brushed motor. You should see the differences right away. Transmission is different. It's moved way forward. I forgot to mention, we have an XT60 now instead of the Dean's connector. That's nice. The receiver box is actually different, I believe. Can't tell from the outside, but the parts diagram shows seals in there now. Previous version was not sealed, so that is very nice and welcome. Our battery tray, which is now moved forward quite a bit, we'll talk about that. I think I usually run 5200s in this, like this guy here. There is a piece of foam right here, and on the other underside of this clip, you can see a strip of foam. If you got a battery like the one I just showed you, you're probably going to have to take that foam out in order for the battery to fit. But you have lots of battery choices. I usually run 3S on this. I believe the ESC can handle 4S, but I haven't tried that yet. I have run on this same ESC in a different vehicle with a different motor. I have ran 4S and it was fine. And then back here you can see our light controller. Now that is not in a box, and from experience I have found that it is not waterproof. So keep that in mind. You can see the underside, the wiring. It all seems nice, tidy. It's kind of a jumble back there, but if you notice, everything, if we can focus on that, everything is labeled. Very nice, very handy. All right. Now, before I forget, let's talk about the included parts. Typical, you get the sticker sheet with darkened windows, if that's what you choose to use. You also have the Ford logo and the Bronco logo, which do not come installed. I'm not exactly sure why. And then inside the manual, I think, is another Ford decal for the front that actually says Bronco, and it'll go there. There's your manual with the usual wrench, some hexes, some battery straps, spare tire this time. It's the same tire that's on the vehicle. The exact same. Yeah, look at that. The same Dumbo transmitter, which gives you this 3-way switch here is for your lights. I'll show you that too in a minute. Second 2-speed, steering, throttle, and then up here is diff locks, front and rear. Underneath, it's the usual Dumbo controls. It's a good radio. I wish it had foam, but hey, it is what it is. You got your optional, some Chinese decals, another Bronco logo, which I think is for the steering wheel, right there. And then this is new. We get these new decals, which I am definitely going to put on. I believe they're going to go right back here. I think that'll look very nice. And then we have our body retaining screw. Alrighty, so I mentioned that we have a full light kit stock from the factory. So let's check it out with the lights on. This would be off, right? All lights off. Move this to the middle position, and we get headlights. No taillights, headlights. If we move the controller to third position, we get light bar, headlights, taillights. Pretty cool. And yes, we have the obligatory turn signals, which, please manufacturers, we don't need those. It's just it's wasted on us. Crawlers don't use turn signals. We just please remove them. At least we can do this. 3 turns, and now we have flashers, which I think is way better. Oh, and while we're talking about lights, we have reverse lights when we go backwards. Nice. So there you have it. What do you guys think? Pretty cool. I wish other vehicles came with light kits installed like this. And here we have the previous version, which is I think they called it like cement gray. That's my original V1 with some mods done to it next to the new V3. These vehicles are big, man. I gotta get way back to get these in frame. But, so you can see the styling, not much different. I threw in a little driver. I've got a couple mods. This is the optional bumper with winch lights. And here I have the lights installed for your LED grill lights. Very nice. And I have some brass on there too, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so we got both rigs side by side. This is the original version. You can tell it's a little dirty, but I used it. It's one of my favorite trail rigs. It gets a lot of use, and I don't take it easy. Water, hills, tumbles, it's all good. And here is the new version. So the main difference for this new version is the gearbox. So the original suffered from, in my opinion, lack of drag brake. So didn't matter what you did for motor, and you still couldn't get a good drag brake. Pinion size was limited. You didn't have very many options. And here's the original version. You can see where that transmission is sitting. It's taller than the receiver box. And now on the new version, it's tucked way under the you can even see the battery tray has been moved from back here where it's under the rear shock, and now we are way up here. There's a big movement of battery forward. Our transmission is way lower, and if you can see, let's do this. You can see where the motor is sitting now. The new version puts the motor way more forward, and it is lower, which is fantastic. Combined with the lower gearing that we're now getting in the transmission and in the portals, that should fix all of our drag brake issues. This new design apparently allows for more choices for your pinion, and I'll talk about that in a minute too. The next big change is chassis mounted steering servo. Our old one, you can see the servo. It's in there. It is axle mounted. And you couldn't even, the original version doesn't have panhard mount on the axle, so you couldn't even properly run a chassis mounted servo if you wanted to. And this version did come with the relocation kit, so you could go servo mounted or chassis mounted servo, but it didn't have a panhard, so it allowed you to move your motor forward because it came with a motor forward kit, but the steering was just awful. So I went back to the standard version and just added some brass, which did great. Now we've got chassis mounted servo, same ESC. ESC is sitting a little more forward, and we now have panhard with a panhard mount. We have a new servo saver shock absorber, I guess, whatever you want to call it. It's the original has one, as you can see, but it's much shorter. And I actually like that. I haven't had any issues with lack of steering because it was too soft, or it didn't seem to do anything to my steering. So I'm in favor of it. So those are the big changes. Center of gravity is now more forward and it's lower. Chassis mounted steering. The gearing changes in the portals and in the gearbox. I think it's going to make a big improvement, and in future videos we will show that. So I did some calculations, some weighing, and I have some numbers for you if you guys are interested. Stock, the new version, has a 54-46 front weight bias. That's with my battery installed. Without the battery installed, it's 55-45, which is, I think, really good for out of the box. Cross weight's 50-50. It comes in at 4,598 grams, or 10.2 pounds. If we put the spare tire on, our numbers move to 51-49 for our front weight. And if we have the battery in, we're at 52-48. Weight with the battery and the spare goes up to 47-39 grams and 10.7 ounces. And for comparison, my old version, the gray version, with brass installed on the front, the portal weights, and the diff cover with the original stock locations of motor and steering servo. We have 6139 for front weight, which, oh, plus I have the big bumper, big metal bumper and winch up there. That also comes in at 10 pounds, 13 ounces, 4,909 grams. So my old one is heavier, more front weight, and I think it performed fantastic. If we just had the drag brake, I would have been, I see no need to change. Which brings me to another point. You can buy just the new gearbox conversion kit from Zero Hobby. That wasn't an option when I ordered mine, or I probably would have. So I'm not sure. Maybe I'll sell my old one because I already have 2 more 8-scale trail rigs. I don't know. 4 is a lot for one person. Maybe not. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments. And also, while we're talking about Zero Hobby, that's a great store, by the way. I was working with Riley when I ordered my vehicle, and he offered some spare parts. He asked me what spares I would like, and it got me thinking, what in the year that I've owned this and all the trails that I've done, what are the problems? What have I broken? I would say there are no issues other than maybe some leaky shocks. Other than that, out of the year, the water, the dirt, the mud, everything I put it through, no broken parts that were from normal wear and tear. I did take a big tumble down a hill, which then led to maybe a 10-foot fall into a rocky creek bed. I was expecting all kinds of damage. No body damage. Vehicle drove out of it. I didn't even notice there was a problem. At the end of the day, I found out both rear shock shafts were bent. I lost a link because both rod ends on that link broke, and another link had a broken rod end. So, almost 11-pound rig at a 10-foot fall and a tumble down a hill, I think that's completely acceptable. I think that lots of vehicles would have broken that. So after thinking about that, Riley was kind enough to send me some portal gears from the original version. So what I can do with that is put them in, I can mix them with the gears that were in the new V3, V2, V3, whatever you want to call it, and I should be able to get some overdrive out of it. That'll be in another installment. I also mentioned that the receiver box seemed to be waterproof, but that the light controller was left out in the open, and I knew it wasn't waterproof. So he was kind enough to send me another light controller. Fantastic. I got a new spur gear because I haven't been in the new one yet, but the way the old version was, once you changed motor or had to do anything with your spur pinion, you can't see the pinion and spur when you're trying to set the mesh. It was kind of blind, and so I figured might as well get a spare spur in case I toast it from not having proper mesh. And then I got a shock rebuild kit just because the old shocks kind of got leaky after a while. Some of the bladders weren't, I guess, maybe manufactured that great, but overall I'd say it was a really good rig, performed as well as 90% of the trail rigs you can buy from all the other manufacturers. So, yeah. Alright guys, you might be hearing a lot of Lexane or tire noise, a lot of rubbing. It's not actually the tire in the outside of the body, the fenders. Let's see if you can, some light. There is a piece of the inner fender that sticks down. Inner fender sticks down right here, and when the tire comes all the way up, it just catches that corner. So I think that's gonna need a little trimming.